Jill, can you hear me? Am I coming in loud and clear? Happy New Year.
Loud and clear and big and blue. And I mean
Yes.
big as in personality.
I know. It is a lot of blue going on here. We were commenting on that. I was. Um, so yeah, we're not blue inside though, Jill. We're just tickled pink to be here with you. And I'm ready to talk about the strange world that is a flash of beauty and beyond. You've been on a little adventure though. So the beyond part is probably where we should start, unless you want to touch up on some house cleaning stuff. No.
No. I had
Okay.
to think about it. No, nothing to report. Except for it's been a whirlwind. I mean, we ended 2024 on a strong note. We got some miles under our feet. So not only did we do those trips to Georgia and Alabama, but just last week we were in Texas, Oklahoma, and we even popped into Arkansas. And it was we pack in a lot. We pack in a lot in just a few days.
Are those all border states? I don't know my geological border states. Did you go? Did you have to border hop?
We hopped in a car and border hopped. Yeah, we flew into Dallas
Yeah.
from there, and just Oregonians, I think just Pacific Northwest, individuals, we are very polite, passive, go with the flow drivers. The freeway system in Texas, especially around Dallas, was absolutely terrifying. So, if I ever have to relocate to a major metropolitan area in Texas, I might just need to find someone who is a full time Uber driver.
I remember our first moment that we got. I will compliment the South here and I will get back to that. But I remember getting into Tennessee, and it's the first time in a long time I saw a driver get out of their car and walk up to the car in front of them. Like, is this going to happen right here, right now? And it kind of snowballed. Like, we had several moments within 48 hours of seeing people, like, they let you know. But some of the sweetest, most congenial people happen to be in that part of the country. And it all started at the Cracker Barrel for me and Bucky's, where I got a little taste
Yes.
of that Southern charm. And I guess Oklahoma and Arkansas would definitely be the South, correct?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think so. If there's a, well, I can't say if there's a Cracker Barrel present that it's, I mean,
Hmm.
we had one up in Tualatin,
Oh, you
Oregon.
did?
Yeah, and it went out, and we had one in Beaverton right off of Canyon Road. They both went out of business. I was like, "Are you kidding me? This place is all." I won't get onto my Cracker Barrel soapbox, nor will I go on my El Pollo Loco tirade of when they closed that down
Oh,
in Beaverton also. But yeah, so we were in Texas. We drove up to Oklahoma, and I just want to say, so we had an interview lined up for a Flash of Beauty 3. There's a scheduling conflict, and he had to pull out last minute. Tanya Kordak from the Oklahoma Bigfoot Museum,
right.
she was the shining star. I put out a Hail Mary call to her. I was like, Tanya, we need some help. We're out here. Our Oklahoma interview fell through. Do you know anyone? And she's like, let me work on it. And a few minutes later, she got back to me, and she was sending me all sorts of options. I felt bad that we didn't have time to do more,
Mhm.
but we had an incredible interview. We saw a really interesting part of Oklahoma that it reminded me of Northeast California, like where the Alabama hills are.
Yeah.
It just had a very kind of deserty, rocky California vibe to it. It was really interesting. So then we circled back through Texas and made our way over to Fouke, Arkansas.
Heard of it.
Yeah, there's a creek there, a boggy creek. So that was fun. So it's like, well, we're here. We have to do this. It'd be foolish to let that opportunity slip by. So So we went on a Boggy Creek adventure, but first we went to the Falk Monster Mart, which I think is kind of iconic. A lot of people post that photo when they go, and you can go in and get your merch. And they have, because of the movies that have been filmed there, it's almost like a little museum and tribute. A lot of Lyle Blackburn action going on in there. They have his books, they have like his boots on display and whatnot. So, and just really friendly folks. So that was the road trip in a nutshell.
Now,
But
Lyle Blackburn, not only must they have his boots and some of his cherished belt buckles, and they must have some of his hot sauce, right? Like, I know this guy's got hot sauce. Did you walk away with some actual Blackburn hot sauce? And if so, have you partaken? And what does it taste like? No.
oh, we should do one of those hot wing tests where we try to have
We
we
need
try
to
to
do a
have like
Lyle Blackburn hot wings
a
test.
civilized conversation while consuming Blackburn hot sauce,
Uh,
talking about Bigfoot. Uh,
I love that.
I didn't, I if they had it, I did
You didn't
not
see it.
see it. No, I mean it was pretty focused on the
Yeah.
topic at hand. It was,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, what is
So
the topic? The topic of Boggy Creek and you going there?
the well, is everything is the monster Boggy Creek, the Falk monster, the Legend
Yeah.
of Boggy Creek, like one, two, and I think there's a third one even. But some of the other documentaries that have been filmed there, and the books based on the region. So
Okay.
we left with our refrigerator magnet,
A must. I will
slapped it on the fridge, but
bank.
we also, Brett said, we're here, we got to find this creek. So, being, the basic person I am, I'm like, "Oh, let me type it into the Maps app on my phone." And it was marked like Boggy Creek. And I thought, "Okay, maybe it's a trailhead, maybe that's the kind of situation it is. I don't know." And so we start driving. We are out in the country, like going down country roads and some dirt roads, and all of a sudden it gets to be like the setup for a horror film. We're like, no, put it in reverse. This is a trap. We thought someone was luring us in to their their location. And I was like, this is not Boggy Creek. Um, so once we got our bearings, and Brett, looked at the map, and we kind of pinpointed an access point where we could take a road and get to the creek. And this is where it gets interesting. So we're out in the country in the middle of nowhere. There's a few dogs running around on the road, not a car in sight. We pull over and get the camera out to take some photos, some video. And this guy hops, like he pulls out, I don't know, maybe he is like 50, 100 yards down the road, and he's like in his little Polaris ATV type thing. And he comes cruising down, pulls up, "Oh, what you doing? What's going on?" And we're like, "Look, this is why we're here." And we kind of said our thing, and he pulled over, and we're talking for a bit. And he asked us, he's like, "So where are you from?" We said, "Oh, Oregon." Like, Oregon. I have a friend. I have a friend who lives in Cottage Grove.
What are the
What
chances?
are the chances? So
No
Brett's like,
coincidences.
Brett says, "Oh, well, our two major, components of those documentaries takes place in Cottage Grove. There's a lot of activity around there." And this guy's kind of sizing us up, like, "Okay, you want to bullshit? Or do you want to, BS? Let's go." And he pulls out his phone, calls up his buddy, and is like, "Hey, there's someone here from Oregon who wants to talk to you." Hands the phone over. So Brett's on the phone with his friend from Cottage Grove, and before you know it, they're making small talk, and they're just totally talking. I'm picking up like the conversations. Brett's like, "Well, yeah, we go up here, and oh yeah, you go this way and that way."
Yeah.
And so Brett's like, "Well, you have my information, so if you see anything or hear anything, let me know."
Yeah, I mean, think about how many places, little small towns there are in America. Just, I mean, there's well over 100,000 small towns in all of America, at least. And you happen to find someone. What now? Do you remember why he moved back? Was that his hometown, or what was the deal?
I can't remember if he was originally from Cottage Grove, but then moved out to Arkansas and was
Hmm.
working for this guy, and
Right.
then he moved back to Cottage Grove, or vice versa. Or
Cottage Grove is kind of our Falk.
it is.
It
Yes,
is. It's our Falk.
it is. It
Yeah.
is. Um, yes, but I think this guy must on the little ATV. He was just kind of shaking his head. He's like, "This is crazy. What are the chances?"
Yeah.
He's like, "It's a small town, right?" And we're like, "Yeah, very small."
Right. Yeah. Cottage
Yeah.
Grove, the metropolis. Yeah.
So of course Brett asks, he's like, "Hey, by the way, do you know Tobe Johnson or Daryl Adams?"
Right.
He did not. Not yet.
No, but he probably knows the coffee cup in Old Town, and that might be a good place for us and Buster Brown to meet someday. So, um,
Let's make it happen.
isn't that something? Or at least you and Brett. I mean, that's really, I how can we possibly believe in coincidences at this point, Jill? After everything that's happened since this journey, and even before that, I mean, there are no coincidences. Do you think there are?
No, I think there's some divine orchestration. There's some
Hmm.
choreography for sure.
Yeah. I mean, this gets into like a quantum timeline, I'm sure. Everything happening all at once. And you guys going to Falk wasn't on the agenda, was it?
No, not at
Yeah.
all. Not
Or
at
that
all.
guy on his Polaris seeing you. I mean, all the roads had to come to this intersection. I wonder how many synchronicities happen in general in Bigfoot areas. Probably a lot, but how many happen in Falk? Um, Oh, we should mention here too that you guys had camera rolling and Brett rushed home on New Year's Eve and put out something brilliant. Can we talk about it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so we caught a flight home on New Year's Eve, and
Romantic.
we got home, and so while we were out there, it was dusk. It was the sky, everything was really beautiful. And Brett's like, "I'm here, I got to film." So he was just filming the creek and the trees and whatnot, and he had his audio recorder out so
Mhm.
we could have actual audio. And yeah, we just thought we would put it out for people to enjoy, pretend they were there.
Right, and the people were here on the last live stream, or maybe it was the podcast when the four of us were talking about it, and we were just kicking around, ruminating ideas. You had mentioned something regarding like this whole subculture of people that love sensory videos and audio, ASMR, right? I don't what's
Hmm.
that acronym stand for? I don't know, but it's for people that love like the in-depth meditation, right? The ambiance of
Yeah.
the serenity of whatever you're into, from bubble wrap to Falk monsters. I mean, everything in between, go for it. But this is so beautifully shot, and you and I were talking earlier today. I'm such a fan that this could very well be something that comes up again in the future for other footage. So, people in the comments here, if you haven't seen it, please share this one. I mean, the videos are all so engaging and cool, but this is something different and unique that's offered. I've never seen anybody in this community offer anything like that in the paranormal community online. And it makes such perfect sense because it is the feeling of the woods that brings you back, right? Because it is so often very quiet and nothing is happening. And you're sitting hearing those sounds of nature. And that's it until the limb snaps or the pine cone gets thrown or whatever it is that the forest changes.
Hmm.
I can only imagine where this will go, seeing how much B-roll that you guys have saved and preserved, the
Oh
beauty
my
that could
gosh,
be
yeah.
published and put out. I have I would say longer than 6 minutes or 7 minutes. I feel like this could go on. I would have been okay with Falk for an hour. I thought that would have I don't know how you do that. Maybe you extend it and slow-mo it, Brett, but 5K Bigfoot footage, ASMR, let people know you love it, share it, and what a cool thing for New Year's Day to offer. So that's really awesome. I was totally happy to see that.
Oh, thank you. There will definitely be more. I mean, you look at all the places we've traveled and been
Hmm.
to, and how much footage we've accumulated. It's
Oh yeah. I know. I mean, and some of it could be really funny. I'm thinking of some of it, but obviously, no. I mean, it's really beautiful. I wanted to go back to Tanya Kordek because she may be a lesser known name to people that are either new to this or, she's on the other side of the country. So maybe we're talking to a certain subsect of people that don't know who Tanya is. Tanya also puts together a Sasquatch event, I believe, once a year, right, in Oklahoma?
Yes, she
Okay.
is. We'll find the details and we'll drop
Right.
it.
But she's not the one that also has a museum. Does she also
Yeah,
have she does, okay. Yeah, if you guys could find the details out on that, I just wanted to mention that real quick because she was one of the first, people that kinda welcomed Daryl into Oklahoma after he moved back there, and, she seems like a really helpful person, so I'm not surprised she helped you out the way she did.
yeah, she really saved our butts.
Yeah, yeah, because that's a long way to go to have, a change of plans, but it sounds like it was all about this connection you made in Falk. Like, this is the way it works. Like, you have a tire blowout, you're pulled over to the side of the road, and then all of a sudden you meet the witness or have the moment, find the suitcase full of gold, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I mean, I look back on this entire journey of when we started filming, and I still
Right.
go back to that very first day of filming at Beachfoot when Diane Stocking gave me a list of people to that I should interview. And
Mhm.
she's kind of going through the list, and then and Daryl was the last name on the list. I have the
You have the
post-it note around here somewhere, and I just remember her tapping on Daryl's name, and she said, "You should talk to Daryl. He has some interesting things going on." I'm
uh
like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
And how then that whole connection came through that we had
Mhm.
actually seen you guys in the other documentary, and we were off to the races.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to make mention real quick of Cottage Grove, a gal by the name of Allie, Alicia, and Jeff Roan have been following up on some hot leads out of that area. We don't have anything on camera or audio wise yet. Stuff has been happening out there, but there's new information that has come to light about that area. And so those are the two caretakers that I know of that are looking out for what's going on at the old Al Moon Lab. I don't know. Maybe we'll hear this summer, and they can do some kind of impromptu, you know, um, presentation of sorts. I know that Jeff Roan is Jeff on the chat. I'm not looking at the chat, but Jeff Roan is going to be speaking either this month, I believe this month, if he's on here, at the new museum on Highway 58 called Area 58, opened up by the Rosemans. I think it's not officially open yet, but the plan is, as far as I know, is that they're going to do live events like I used to do at the bar, right? So they're going to do, I still do, live events at the Area 58 Museum in Oak Ridge by the old Dairy Queen. Priscilla just got her giant laminated sign, a beautiful artwork done there so you can find it at night. And Jeff is going to go in there and do, I think, one of the first presentations with Priscilla, and hopefully it will be like a paranormal repository for everybody coming going up Highway 58 and beyond, right? Because so much of this is centered around the flesh and blood evidence of Sasquatch. And Priscilla's opened up the doors to kind of where we're heading, Jill,
Hmm.
into this wider subject of what really is happening here. And it's not like you and I have been avoiding this, kicking and screaming. It's just this delicate balance of not wanting to ignore your core audience and then opening up to new voices. Say, listen, I have this happening too, but I have poltergeists, and
Hmm.
So I think that's where we're headed, isn't it?
It feels that way. I feel like people are starting to get more comfortable
Yeah.
talking about the other stuff
Yeah.
too. And maybe instead of keeping it in separate silos, like I always did, I always
Mhm.
thought everything was its own thing. But now, people are having these experiences that seem to be grouped together. Seeing the lights in the sky and then having
Mhm.
their Bigfoot sighting or the orbs or seeing apparitions and whatnot.
Yeah. Um, McPhee. Remind me her first name. Harriet McPhee.
Harriet, yes.
Um, I mean, that's such a quirky little bit of Bigfoot history. It goes beyond that, but I would have never known that had you dug into the quirky a little bit. So I think there's room for both of these subject matters, because where there is the quirky, there are interesting people that have interesting voices, and she certainly is one of them. I did buy a new American flag the other day because mine's tattered and torn, but not in a squatchy way. It was pretty rough looking, and the whole time I was taking it down, I was like, oh gosh, I could show this to Harry McPhee right now, and she might show me some stuff in here. But it pointed to the fact of what she was showing in your videos. Is it mine being due to wind and craftsmanship, and hers being done by opposable thumbs and workmanship?
Oh,
Um,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, that's just a
The-
sidebar, but I think an important one because what in the world? Why American? I mean, I suppose it's not just American flags, although according to Matt Johnson's, they're extreme patriots. So I digress, but it could very well be that they are flag saluting Sasquatch out there.
don't make this political. Don't don't do that. Don't.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about the American flag,
Well, no, but I mean, just like maybe there's something about the red and the like. There's a color trigger or something.
well, yeah, let's talk about it. What do you
Okay.
think it is?
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, because there are people who would take what you just said very literally and be like,
Yeah.
I digress.
Well, no, but if we're attaching a kind of personhood to it, I don't think it's too far of a stretch to think that they have a personhood that has a preference. Um,
But
I
would
don't
that be a color combination or the all the stripes and lined up like how like Christopher Noel has made in his book where he compares like autistic behavior to behavior that Bigfoots demonstrate, like in organ how they organize and line things up and how some of the patterns and whatnot. Have
Well,
you?
I know that out here there is a talk that they prefer red.
Oh,
If
really?
you leave out a red peanut butter jar with a red cap, it more likely will get taken and messed with than the blue, which maybe I don't know if blue means crunchy and red means creamy. It might mean that. Maybe that's the difference. I'm trying to think back to some of the gifts that we had left, if they were any red, white, or blue combinations of
Yes, they
of the
were. Tobe, the blue dinosaurs, the blue like didn't Daryl collect like blue children's toys and whatnot?
well, there was a little blue velociraptor, yeah, that's true. But beyond that, there was no preference, and I've never seen an American flag. I've never even heard of that before, but her stuff was so compelling that, were there other things that were woven at her shop besides the American flag?
The horse mane or
The
the
horse
horse
manes.
manes and
Yes.
tails. I
Yeah.
want to say there was another flag or wind socks, like wind socks that had become tattered.
But
They had been.
patriotic, right?
I don't remember, but that's
Yeah.
interesting though, and it would be interesting to kind of do an experiment like with different colored stripes to
Mhm.
see. But you don't
And
want to like destroy a flag and put
well,
it.
no, but
Yeah.
consider it done. I mean, that wouldn't be too much of a to get red, white, and blue ribbon and then hang like pink ribbon, orange ribbon, and green and see which one
Mm.
gets woven, if any of them.
Oh, interesting. Okay. That is your challenge,
I will
audience.
challenge accepted. Um, yeah. So, well, what I was alluding to before, Jill, was that we were opening up the conversation to a wider conversation because right now, as far as the podcast is concerned, there is kind of a closure happening here just due to what some of the witnesses were happy to say on camera. They kind of
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's what they had to say.
One and done. They
Yeah.
said their piece. That's it.
So we were talking off camera about the future of how that will look, and we feel like maybe opening up the scenario to other subjects along the way. Let us know how you feel about that. I think that's the appropriate move.
Yeah, and and I've posted multiple times in the community section and done some polls asking people, and a lot of people have been really supportive. Of course, some people are like, "Nope, just stick with Bigfoot. That's all I want." And I'm like, "Well, we will continue to do Bigfoot centric. However, there's so much other stuff that needs to be addressed that it's killing me that we're not talking about it." So we're gonna kind of
Mm.
open up some of these conversations to other cryptids, other phenomena, and other experiences.
Yeah, and that's something that kind of has to be built from the bottom up right now as far as how we want to present that, because there's a couple different ways to skin that cat, and we just want to make sure that when we do it, it comes out with the same kind of quality as the documentary itself. So that's where we're headed. What else?
What else? Let's see here. So, do you have an Olympic Strange Days event coming up?
I
Is that
do. January 15th on abductees, and we'll have two abductees, possibly three. And I will say that I just did some walk and talks on my Olympic Strange Days YouTube channel to kind of open up this idea of the Olympic Peninsula having the quirky and the weird here more locally. And my first guest goes by the name of Alex, and he has had an experience as an abductee as well as his father. So on the 15th, we're going to do a part two to the video that will come out hopefully in the next couple weeks. And then we'll be looking for more witnesses in and around the Olympic Peninsula that want to walk and talk with T Dog around the Olympic Peninsula and get to know one another. And these aren't just Bigfoot witnesses. Again, I would like to talk to people that have strange hobbies, that know strange locations, that have had anything that seems out of the ordinary, and they've invested their time, life, and money and been changed by it. So look forward to hearing more about that in the future. But yeah, the 15th from 7 to 11 at the Water Street Avenue in Port Townsend, Washington, at the Anchor Tavern, that is. And it should be a good time.
now, Tobe? The people that you are reaching out to for Olympic Strange Days, are any of those callbacks to your Strange Brow radio days? Have you revisited any of them?
So remember Don't F with
Yeah.
Another Man's Tat? Ink.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So one of those guys is less than an hour and a half away. Um, so that would be a good one. He's never gone on camera. And I do need to follow up with him and see where things have progressed. Um, there's a lot of UFO stuff happening around here, and I didn't expect this to be about abductees. But if it falls in your lap that way, I don't feel like pushing it back. Like it's coming
Yeah.
at me, So I'm just going to accept it and kind of go with it. There's a lot of people with secrets out here about UFO stuff. I say more so than anything else is the stuff going on in the sky. And so for the first time, I started posting on a new Facebook site I found more locally here in the Olympic Peninsula about strange stuff in the sky. And there's a lot of pushback about people saying, oh, Chinese lanterns, oh,
Mm.
Venus. Actually, they do bring up the fact that Jupiter is extremely bright right now. Or is it Saturn? Jupiter or Saturn. One of them looks like sneaky Venus. It's so dang bright. Like I've never seen Venus is nowhere to be found, but Jupiter or Saturn right now look like Venus, and it's throwing everybody off. There's
But those
strange
are
stuff going
fixed
on.
planets. They're not moving around, disappearing and
No, Venus shouldn't be. I mean,
right.
yeah, but right now it's I'm having trouble. Venus should be directly to the right on my star chart, and I can't remember if it's Saturn or Jupiter. Which one's with the rings? Saturn?
Saturn.
Rings, yeah. So I think it's Saturn. Um, Mars is super bright right now. So if you get a chance, I believe if you look due northeast, the red planet is rising at least about this time of night, generally speaking.
Okay.
A lot of aurora stuff happening. I don't. Are you guys seeing the aurora?
We haven't yet. The one time we tried to go out to see it, all the clouds rolled in.
Oh wait, have you ever seen the aurora?
Uh, a little bit. I mean, Brett has. He was up in Fairbanks 2 years ago during
Okay,
December, but I mean, I
Jill,
think,
you have
yeah.
to see it. It will. I mean, it's happening so much up here now. It's just kind of a joke, and I've never seen it before in my life till I moved to Squim, and now it's like silly. It's just like every month there's some little light show. But it got to the point the other night where we were on a place called Hogback Ridge. What a name to hang out at 11 o'clock! And it's just crazy, just ribbons of green and pink, and you think you're off planet. And it's hard to think that those kind of electromagnetic charges aren't bringing up some really strange paranormal scenarios. So I
Mm.
just think it like supercharges the activity going on here.
Are people reporting that?
No, not to me.
Oh, I
Not
don't
to
know.
me. Yeah. Mm-mm. I did have an interesting run in though on the beach the other day. I just took a walk by myself and I ran into a black poodle wearing a raincoat and it had a chuck it ball in its mouth and it ran up to me eagerly and threw it in front of me like throw it man. So I reached down to grab it and I hear this little old lady's voice, not that old, yell, if you pick it up, she's yours forever, she's not going to stop. And I was like, okay. So I threw it and the dog was mine for like the next hour while I talked to this gal who I've never met before. And she just had some incredible stories about seeing UFOs around here. And
Oh,
she'd been here for 7 years. She's a clinical psychiatrist, retired, and walks her dog till about 7 at night on the beach by herself, which out here it's super dark, like at 5. So there we were standing in the parking lot talking about UFOs, her being a clinical psychologist. She goes, what are you doing tonight? And I was just like, well, I'm supposed to be going to interview an abductee, but it's 7 o'clock at night. So I'm going to have to edit it. So it looks like I went and interviewed him tonight and wear the same clothes. And so we talked about that. And, but she opened up as a clinical psychiatrist about the whole idea of these hidden events, which I thought was really interesting. As it's like, this is a future interview. I want to talk to her about, because I think back to like Simeon Hine talking about how he got into this because of the abuse scandal as
mhm.
a not a psychologist, but a sociologist.
Sociologist. Yeah.
And that took him from a personal level into the hidden events of people that had these other strange things. And so this is, it's interesting how people, what their jumping off point is. And so maybe this is her jumping off point. Me and this dog and her in this chance meeting. I'd like to see where it goes.
No, no such thing as coincidence.
No, exactly. And I didn't feel that way at all. In fact, I was ready for her to peel her face back and go, I'm not real, and then put it back. Like we were talking about men in plaid. It would have been a poodle and a raincoat phenomena for me. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, hey, you know what? You should invite her to your event
Oh, I did.
and
Yeah.
have her kind of be like the on call like Dr. Michael Adams on stage to kind of
I know. I thought
give
about
her two
somehow, like,
cents.
being able to weave her in, like, call her up, on the YouTube channel, just like, "Hey, what do you think of this scenario here? How does this work?" And have her do a back and forth on Zoom with me, but I'm not quite sure how open she wants to be about being public. She has a very interesting first name, and so I can't use that because there's only one name like this in all of Squim for sure. And I don't think she wants to be more of an outcast than she is, but you know how I love outcasts.
Hey, and speaking of getting people, just kind of circle back to the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I want everyone to know, anyone watching right now, anyone who's emailed us, anyone who's commented on Tara's interview, we are trying to make arrangements. We've been in contact with Tara, so she knows people are trying to get a hold of her. We're trying to find the path of least resistance, I think, of getting her back into doing readings and making it
Absolutely.
comfortable, because there's so many people who just have questions and whatnot. And I can say, as someone who's had a reading done and like interacted with Tara,
Mhm.
um, in that psychic mediumship way. I mean, she's a straight shooter. She's always on point, and it's pretty remarkable. So,
You know what? Did I ever have a reading for her? I think I did have. Yeah, I definitely had a reading for her in front of a group. It wasn't even a private reading. I told her to read me in front of a group, and it didn't go well. It didn't go well, and the group was they weren't for the reading at all. I thought it was interesting, and and we followed up on it again, and everything was fine with me and her. But if you're ever going to get a reading from a psychic, you should probably do it in private. And then, I mean, did you do yours public in front of 7 or 8 people?
no, no, but I mean, I've like McKenna and I've done gallery readings, like
Not on
where
each other, though.
no,
Okay.
no, but like reading other
Oh, yeah.
people in a
Like
room
John
full of
Edwards style.
people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that's something else to do. I know Pete Orbea gave me a reading, and then that was kind of it. In fact, there is a town psychic I thought about calling the other day. Like, do you have places in town that just says psychic,
Of
you know,
course.
on a building? Have you ever
With just
called it?
really plain neon, like
Right.
psychic.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's mandatory by law that they have the psychic and
Have
hot
you ever
pink.
have you ever been to one?
No,
No.
no.
Are you opposed to it?
It seems weird when I know people who are. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like the I don't like that pomp and circumstance
Mhm.
presentation. I like when I'm getting a reading or interacting with someone, I like it when like someone's like, "Hold on, I got to finish doing the dishes," and they're talking to me, and then they sit down and it's just like, "Okay, let's go." Instead of like,
Mhm.
"Oh, welcome."
Oh, the show.
The show. I'm not
The
into the
show.
show. I don't do the show.
You don't do Have you ever stopped anybody at, like, Albertsons to give them a reading?
No, because I think that's I don't know if it's like a code of ethics or something. It's just
Yeah.
that doesn't feel that feels very intrusive, and unless someone wants it, the only time I've ever done anything remotely like that. I mean, I'll say little things like if I get a little intuitive nudge or something, I'll casually say something, but not like something intrusive and like Long Island medium or anything
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
I am respectful of people's privacy. But at the Nebraska Bigfoot conference, um, a woman a woman came by our table and was like, "Can you do a reading for my daughter? Can you please do a reading for my daughter?" And I was like, and it was pure chaos. I mean, there were
Right.
tornado warnings going off and stuff. This is like when that famous footage of the tornado that went across like the highway and someone filmed it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like it was, and we were like in a big like event center. Like I was
Yeah,
like, is the roof gonna rip off?
yeah.
And there was a lot of people. It was chaotic, and she kind of pointed out who her daughter was. And then later, the daughter looked over and she's kind of like, "Oh, mom, don't do this." And she's like, "I'm sorry. That's so embarrassing." And I was like, "It's okay." And then I was like, "Okay, I just have to say this though." And it's like, it's this whole thing about baking and cupcakes and following your passion and stuff. And she's kind of looked at me and she's like, I've been baking nonstop for like her kid's graduation or like some big party. And she's like, I really love it. And so it's like this whole thing. And that's the only time, and it's kind of, it wasn't personal, but I was like, yeah, you should really. focus on that type thing. But
Mhm.
not this like obnoxious, like in the checkout line at the grocery store, like
Well,
your grandmother is here.
going back to what Tara had to say, did you ever get the same sense that Tara did about what Sasquatch is? Did that ring true for you? Were you able to fill in the blanks?
Again, it's a weird situation, like how, remember, because when I got into all this, I kept everything in its little silo. So still, like, the idea of communicating with them, that's not really my wheelhouse. I mean, I've never really put the effort or time to do it, but nothing, it didn't shock me. It made sense.
Mhm.
And I can say that because I sat with, before we did her interview, I sat up with her and her friend when they were doing the clearing. And she was able she was able to tell me what I was seeing with my eyes like, when, how do I even say this?
Yeah, how do you say that?
How do I say it to make sense? Like with my eyes shut, and like what I'm the images and what I was seeing and getting, Tara was able to describe to me what I was seeing, and I was able to describe to her, like, basically there was validation going back and forth. So I'm just like, oh, okay, there's something to this. But the interaction with Aolin and his family, because when we were up
Mhm.
there, it was like all of a sudden you could feel there was a presence, like
Mhm.
like in the distance, like from behind us.
That you
And
could feel.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And like focusing in on that, she's like, well, what do you see? And I'm like, well, there's three. And I was
Mhm.
describing, I remember there's something very specific about like one, like they're not behind the tree, but like kind of like having an arm up on a
Right.
branch. And she was able to describe basically what I was experiencing, I
Yeah.
guess.
To
I
what
can't,
degree?
it's,
Like 95% accurate?
um, I mean,
A lot. I mean, powerful. Yeah. Okay.
a lot, in a powerful way where I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
don't know what it
oh,
is about her,
this
but
is,
whatever the phenomena is, however it works, it's really attracted to her. Like whatever she's putting off, like things are just gravitating. Like she's probably one of the most powerful magnets I've ever seen for the phenomena. And all you have to do to believe me is walk around with her for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and you will see
yeah,
that she is getting contacted. You will either feel it, hear it, because it's in so much proximity to her that the bleed off is happening all around you, even if you're like a brick wall like me. And so it's crazy.
yeah. And she's just, what I love about like getting readings with Tara and just watching how she handles it. She's a straight shooter. There's no, she just, no filter. She'll just tell you how it
Mm-hmm.
is, just matter of fact. She's like, oh, like that time Brett and I dropped in on when you guys were all out kind of
Oh
camping in the
yeah, yeah,
woods, and we pulled up and you guys were like, who is this?
oh
Because we were
that's
like,
right,
we'll
yeah.
surprise them. Yeah, we were greeted with caution. um yeah, and I just remember she, because they were going to do a clearing, and she's talking to me and she kind of points, she's like, oh, there's a Native American woman standing right there. And it's like, I don't see her.
Yeah.
I you know what I mean? But it's like I don't question it because it's just, there's
Mhm.
that feeling that's like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an experience for
Well,
sure.
I mean, the reason we're talking about it right now is because not only Tara is really popular with Flash of Beauty audience, but the fact is that the subject matter of mind speak and some kind of psychic ability, precognition, all these things, psychometry, it all comes up in this world of Bigfoot. The dream state as well. And,
Mm-hmm.
this is why I go back to what TJ says in A Flash of Beauty, forgive us for speaking so plainly, because these are such powerful spiritual moments that we don't fully understand and we wrestle with. I still wrestle with it, Jill. Like I think about this stuff constantly, and I haven't put it in a box that I understand yet. And I think that I appreciate that. I would be bummed out if this was something that I figured out by now.
Well, it's like Ira says, the mysteries don't want to be known, and I think they will always be evolving and
Hmm.
adapting to just keep us engaged,
Mm.
and keep keep
So
us
the one place that
interacting.
you guys haven't been that I'm shocked that you haven't filmed yet, and I don't know what it will take to do it this year, and maybe you have, but I don't think you have. You haven't filmed Mount St. Helens in proximity to that mystery. And I know Brett's been jonesing to figure out what's going on with that, that ultimate legend of Bigfoot and the eruption. But I don't think you've been to Ape Cave. Have you been to Ape Cave?
Not, I mean, prior
Yeah, but
to
not with the
all of
camera
this
crew.
stuff. No, no, we haven't. However, we do have an interview that we've
Mhm.
been trying to schedule, and I'm fingers crossed we can knock it out this month. It's a fantastic interview that kind of overlaps with
Mhm.
another interview that we've been
Okay.
trying to schedule because there's some incredible synchronicities, to
Yeah.
say the least. And it touches on St. Helens, Mount St. Helens, and it's a
Okay.
lot.
So it has been
And
talked
it's just
about.
a matter
Yeah,
of
because talk
getting
about a
out there.
place to get on
Oh,
video.
yeah.
Um, Speaking of that area, while you were gone, actually before you left on Christmas Eve, there was a tragedy in Skamania County. And I don't know too much
Yeah.
other than what everybody else knows online, but they were from your backyard, right? This was two men, one in his 30s, one in his 50s. Was it a father and son that went bigfooting?
It was. Yeah, they went out Christmas Eve, and um I don't remember the
Mm.
details exactly, but I think it what on Christmas Day search and rescue was
Within
called
within
for, and
24 hours, right?
it
Yeah,
turned
and
into a
set it
recovery.
straight.
And I want to address, so for people who live in the Pacific Northwest, we know how fast the weather can turn, how if you get off trail and you're not prepared, things can go
Mhm.
sideways really fast. And unfortunately, I think even to skilled outdoorsmen, things can happen. I mean, and it's just always a good reminder to let people know exactly where you're going, have some sort of
Mhm.
gosh, and we have them for snowboarding, like they're
Right.
the little beacon things that you activate if you're lost. And just be prepared. I mean, there have been some people suggesting or theorizing that this is all a cover up for something much more, you
Sinister.
know,
Yeah.
just, yeah, like Bigfoot related. And I'm like, no, this happens. And then to make things worse is that search and rescue team, they got all their gear stolen. Did you
Well,
hear
that's
about
weird.
this? They got their gear stolen, and someone made a comment. I posted the GoFundMe. James Shupsky shared that with us, the GoFundMe. Because look, at the end of the day, if you are lost in the woods, these are the
There
guys
are
that are
some
going to
low
come find
down
you.
people,
So
but
they need
man, oh
their equipment.
man, you know that they, yeah.
But you know what? Here's the thing: is like someone made a comment in the community section on this post saying this sounds like a cover up. They're just trying to get money or something. And it's like, welcome to Portland, Oregon, where we have people stealing from like little like baseball teams, like Girl Scouts from churches. They don't care. If they can pop a lock, they're going to take it. I mean, sleeping bags, ropes,
Well,
all
so
that
just real
stuff,
quick to touch on this,
that's
the
gold.
circumstances of their stuff being stolen, do you know any details?
I did.
Oh,
There's
okay.
another news
Okay.
article going on.
I just wonder if it was done
It's
in the
out there,
field.
but
Like, did they, like, set it by their truck in the middle of nowhere and they came back and it was gone? Or is this, like, back at the shop in Dowels or something like that? Yeah, okay.
you know what?
Well,
I
go
don't
I mean,
recall.
going back
I don't recall. But
yeah,
both of those
people
scenarios,
know in the
I
chat,
mean,
jump
welcome
in.
to the Pacific.
But the circumstance of those guys going, the details released on it, given the fact that I mean, here's the unfortunate part is that the story ran away with the spoon because of the fact that the Bigfoot was mentioned in the article, so everybody just
Yeah,
clickbaited away like,
yeah,
but the fact is a lot of
yeah.
people do go out Bigfooting. I go out all the time, and I explained to Aaron, just like I'll buy Onyx, right? Like I'll have a digital map with me and I'll download the map and I'll never go out alone in the dark out of my truck. I used to do that all the time. But, when you have a family, you have to make different choices in
Mhm,
life. And I just don't feel like, I mean, I've had run ins before with some unsavory people alone at night, and it's a bummer.
mhm.
It's a real bummer, and I don't think that's what happened here. The only thing that I think is strange about this here, and people can mention in the chat, is it looks like they crossed at least one or two creeks. And if it was as snowy as it looked, I don't know too many people that would cross creeks in the snow unless they were prepared to have warm footwear. And if they died of exposure, that means that they seemingly got very wet somehow. And that did not look like a creek that you could roll down in the stream with unless it picked up in different spots. Um, so I'd be curious to find out more about this. Not everything has a spooky, nefarious ending. Sometimes people just die of exposure. I was talking to Rich Germeau about people that die of exposure. We're talking about this case, and he's just like, yeah, people take off their clothes when they get hypothermia. It's a thing. They have go into like a different mental state where they feel extremely euphoric, and they start shedding clothes off, which to me is just so counterintuitive and crazy. If you've ever been cold, the last thing you want to do is be colder. But I've never had hypothermia.
And what would that be? Because of the blood
Someone chime in. I don't
circulation or
know.
the
That's
oxygen?
that's just like so out of. You'd have to be so out of
Um,
your ordinary mind to do something. Well, you guys snowboard. Have you ever been so cold out filming or anything like that? Has Brett ever fallen prey to said?
Tobe, I'm always
Oh,
cold. Brett is like
yeah.
part polar bear. He could, I mean, yeah, he lives for it. But we're also so prepared.
Mhm,
Like if we know we're going to be
mhm.
out in the cold in the elements. But also just worth mentioning is it doesn't take a lot to get disoriented
Yeah.
if you're out in the woods in an area you're not familiar with, especially if there is snow
Mhm.
on the ground and you're not quite paying. If you're going off
Right.
trail and not paying attention, it can
Well, and
happen
the other
fast.
option here is not only to buy Onyx for less than $50 a month and download the map, you buy it once a year, but to also carry not only a beacon with you, which I think you get at Costco for under a couple $100, but for under $10, you can buy like 1,000 yard of flagging tape at one of the home shop or like Home Depot or whatever,
Hmm.
and that's just a roll of bright orange, pink, blue flagging tape like the loggers use. And every time you get off course, anytime you want to be an eye shot of that flagging tape. So you walk, and when you see it and you barely don't see it anymore, you put another ribbon of it. The other thing I do is I lay
Yeah.
sticks on the same side of the off trail that I'm walking. So I'll grab a big log like a Bigfoot, set it on the side of a tree. And so as I see there, everything on the right hand side means I'm going back to my car. And that's never failed me. And I can see that you can see that at night as easily as you can in the day. So,
Somewhere in the woods,
well,
someone's finding your sticks and logs.
yeah,
They're like,
you'd
"Oh
have to
my
really be
gosh,
looking in
they
order
were
to
here!"
divide. You'd have to be you, Jill, the ultimate tracker, in order to see that. Mhm. When I think of,
Yes,
like, a trapper and
barely.
a tracker
Um,
and a woman that really likes to get down there and just, like, in the muck, I think of Jill Rimmensnyder, the trapper.
well, what I do is I bite on the trees and leave my tooth mark. No, No, but in all seriousness, if you're gonna go out, let people know
Mhm.
where you're going. Have just use
The
common
the other
sense.
other thing too is that there are
Yeah.
people that go missing in strange circumstances, and they do say you died of exposure when they don't know how you died. That is a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. And what's interesting though, so I expected as far as I know, they
No,
haven't
which is
released the
that's also
names.
very strange, isn't it?
Well, it also seems like if these were people who were
Where are the
in the
names?
Bigfoot
Yes.
community or known to research or attend stuff, word word would have traveled. So you almost have to wonder if like it was just said jokingly, like it was like a joke. They said that they're going out looking for Bigfoot
I bet
type,
but doesn't James know
and
more than
then
anybody about this? I mean, he must be boots on the ground as far as getting information out of that area. That's his backyard.
well, he's former
So he
search and
knows.
rescue, and like he was an army ranger, like search
Does
and
he think it's
rescue
strange?
type guy.
Or have you asked?
Um, Brett, chime in if you remember, because I can't. I think this happened
Yeah.
after we
Okay.
met with him last week. But I mean, the whole thing. It's
Skamania County is
unfortunate.
Bigfoot
It's a
country. That's why
tragedy.
they went there, right? Like
Yeah,
they have the bylaw, you can't hunt or shoot a Bigfoot. Yeah.
yeah. I think that was Ted
Wish to his
Kulingoski's,
son or daughter or something. They were yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
something like that. Yeah. Um, but yeah, so that happened also. So I'm sure more information will come
Okay.
out, and just a sad
Yeah, no,
reminder.
totally. And I haven't got any updates on that here. I'm just checking to see if someone messages me about it. But that's what we've got going on. We have an event coming up here. We're gonna be in Longview at Squatch Fest coming up here the third week of January, I believe. Is that right? The third or fourth weekend of January.
The the
Yeah, so that
24th
is
and 25th,
okay, cool. So
Friday and
that is one,
Saturday.
two, three, 4 weeks from now. Gotcha. And then February, clear on my end as far as scheduled appointments. I don't know if you have anything booked as far as conferences. You'll be filming between January, February, and March. Still,
Well, February 15th, Tom Cantrell has invited us to
oh,
do a
okay.
presentation at
Oh,
one
there
of
you
his
go.
gatherings.
Okay. Mm,
So I will release more details
okay.
as that comes out. But that will be the 15th, and that should be fun and interesting. We'll
Yeah,
make
yeah,
it interesting.
absolutely. And sometime before spring, we're going to probably before March 15th, we'll put out the days for Olympic Strange Days part 2 here in the Olympic Peninsula. And then on sometime in March, we're going to be in the Glacier Hotel. Yes.
Oh, the Geyser Grand. The Geyser Grand Hotel in Baker City. I need to start focusing on that. It's gonna be amazing. So, you guys, if you put a hold on, we're doing an event as kind of a small, intimate gathering, but it's gonna be a phenomenal get together in a very haunted hotel, and that's March 14th, 15th, and 16th. I need to reach out to them, and we need to kind of relaunch the information and whatnot. This was the event that
Mhm.
got postponed in the fall, just because Brett and I were so like inundated with stuff.
Mhm.
We didn't have time
And
to
who do you
plan
know
it.
who's scheduled to speak there? Or is that still being decided?
I think we're all locked in. I mean, Brett and I will be there. We'll
Mhm.
be screening both movies. You will be there. Uh, Angelique Benham, Ashley Stinnett, and Jeff Roan, are you going to be with us? If you're still in the chat, let me know. You thought you might be in Hawaii.
Oh, come on, Jeff.
So I mean, would you rather be in Hawaii or
Gee,
freezing
come
cold in
on.
Baker
You
City?
don't need
No.
a tan.
But we also, um, Jeff, if you're going to be there, it's going to be a party. If not, we will go on without you. And James Shupsky will be joining
Yeah,
us
there
as
you go,
well,
Jeff.
talking all about the haunted paranormal Columbia
All those are
Gorge.
great people. But a special shout out to James because he is such a wealth of information from the Columbia River Gorge, and I love uh, his background with Magic the Gathering, and he's adding that kind of same magical spin to the Columbia River Gorge. So it's a real treat to meet this guy because he's on fire for the supernatural in a way that's just like, oh my gosh, he's gonna turn the Columbia River Gorge into like New Skinwalker Ranch. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I just saw in the chat, Jeff, I'll be in Maui the week before. So he will be in Baker City, very
Oh,
tan
that's it.
and bundled up to deal with the weather. But
Yeah.
it's going to be quite a group. And I think Ashley said that Barb Shoop is getting a group
Oh,
of
the
people to
Shoop
come
Troop.
out.
Okay.
Yeah. So this could be like a
Hey
flash
now.
reunion.
Yeah. When it's got some, if the snow has melted a little bit, it might be some interesting places to go out to, not too far from there that Barb knows about.
Oh.
So if she does show up there, I'd be curious on pulling on
Mm.
her coat about some of these places she knows about. Food for thought.
Hmm.
All right,
Hmm.
disappearing pin trick means that I'm all out, Jill. I have nothing more to offer. What do you got any
Okay.
final words?
I was gonna
Oh,
try to do a
why
magic
don't you
trick,
do a
but I've
disappearing
got
trick?
nothing. Let me change the color. Whoa, there we go. Um, no, so I'm really excited about 2025. I mean, we have a Flash of Beauty
Mhm,
3 that will be coming out. We have Voices in the Wilderness that we are racing. We're trying to do a lot in a very
mhm.
short amount of time. We want to get that done, but we're so excited. That's going to be a game
Yeah.
changer. Then we have two other movies that are not paranormal or cryptid related that we're working on. So,
Well,
yeah.
I'm excited about it. I can't pin you down on any dates for any of these projects coming up, so I'm not going to again, but stuff is coming up. And you're going to stick to it. You're going to give me your word that Voice in the Wilderness is coming out in 2025 sometime. So I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. All right, guys.
I'm still
Yeah,
buying lottery tickets to
that's
speed up
right.
the process, but we'll get
We'll have
there.
a Flash of Beauty garage sale. Mhm.
We could
And
do that.
hopefully,
Yes, we could.
my New Year's resolution will happen where I can drop enough weight to where I can give away my pants from Costco, my Kirkland jeans. Those will be the first thing on the garage sale.
If you can autograph them with the silver ink pen that I bring to
All right.
conferences for posters.
All right. Talk to you later, Jill.
Sounds good.
Bye, guys.
Thanks.